Welcome to the Week 8 edition of the Myerswami. Thank you for tuning in, folks. How's everybody doing out there? This week's first matchup, we have Dero against Keith. This is a big matchup. This could turn the tables for Dero. His main players, Alfred Morris, coming off a 120-yard performance against the Giants. He should have a good game this week, along with RG3. Dero's wide receiver, Marquise Colston's coming off a 73-yard performance with a touchdown. Dero's tight end getting good solid pickup after Fred Davis goes down. Dustin Keller coming back strong off injury. He had 7 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown. Mark Sanchez looks for him on third down. Look for him to have a solid game. On the other side, Keith has Percy Harvin, one of the league's top receivers right now. He's facing the Bucs' 31st ranked defense against the pass, so he should have a huge game. Look out for him. Keith's new addition, Miles Austin, had 97 yards and a TD. His first game back after coming off the bye, so he should keep it up with Romo. Hopefully the Giants secondary can keep him contained. Keith's quarterback, Tony Romo. His last game against the Giants, he had 307 yards with 3 TDs. His best game this year is still to date. Let's see what Romo shows up to play. I think he's going to choke. My prediction for this matchup is Dero wins. His team is going to come back strong at the end of the season, I believe. Second matchup of the week, we have Trevor against Zach. Trevor's attack is led by RG3, who's now beginning to get MVP talks. You know, what can you say? The Redskins team were abysmal last year, and RG3 has brought them back to life. It's a lot to say for a rookie quarterback. Last week, he had 258 yards and 2 TDs against the Giants. Had a good performance in the air. Trevor's ground attack features the Beast, Marshawn Lynch, who rushed for 103 yards last week, but as a struggling stat, he has 2 TDs in the 2012 season. Look for him to come back strong, I think. Mike Wallace, definitely going to look to expose the Washington secondary. Victor Cruz exposed him. Mike Wallace is even faster than him, so he should have a big game. Zach's team is led by Cam Newton, who hasn't been so super. Last week he was calling for change, and in a press conference he was asked, what should they do? Well, that video didn't work. It was loading, and sorry about that. But basically in the press conference, Cam was calling for change. He had his head down, sulking. He was just not used to losing. Struggling Panthers team off to a 1-5 start. Cam was Superman last year. I just don't think he has an answer this year. RG3 is the new Superman. Black Jesus, as his teammate Fred Davis said. Zach's wide receiver, waiver wire pickup, Josh Gordon. What can you say? 3 TDs in 3 weeks. Could have had 4 TDs in 3 weeks, but he dropped the pass in the end zone last week. Whedon is looking his way when they go deep, so he should have another solid week. Zach's rookie stud, Trent Richardson, is banged up a little bit still. His rib injury held him back last week, and he practiced on Wednesday, and all reports look like his ribs are getting better. But still look for Hardesty to get some carries over there with the Browns. Keep the rookie fresh. Don't get him too banged up. I have to give the edge in that matchup to Trevor. I believe Zach's team is just too banged up. Too many people on a bye. Trevor's team is one of the stronger ones in this league. Next matchup, we have Tim against Nico. Tim's quarterback, Eli Manning. Another fourth quarter comeback. Throwing the ball to this man right here. All day, baby. 77 yards. I don't know. The argument was put up this week, Peyton or Eli. Right now, you gotta take Eli. Tim's ground attack features Ahmad Bradshaw, who is coming in banged up. He had a rough week last week. He was begging for the ball against the Redskins, and Tom Coughlin did not give him the ball. Look for him to have a strong week. Calvin Johnson, he's not being Megatron. Very frustrating. He was held to 34 yards against the Chicago Bears. Stellar D last week. He has to come back strong. Stafford has to look his way. There's no other option. Nico's quarterback, Matty Ice, having a great season, but last week is coming off his worst game of the year. 2 weeks ago, sorry, I apologize for that, where he threw 3 interceptions against Oakland. He has to come back, look for Rodney and Julio deep. That's the key to their success. Waiver wire pickup of the week, Rashad Jennings. Nico, you're lucky you had the first waiver claim, otherwise someone else would have him right now. He came in last week to spell MJD and put up 22 points, I believe 100 yards and a TD, so he should have a strong week. Nico's wide receiver, Hakeem Nicks, coming back off injury now for the 3rd week. He has to have a strong game in order for the Giants to have a chance. Nicks and Cruz have to catch the ball all day. Nicks is due to have a big game. He's a big game player. I give the edge in this one to Nico. I believe he's one of the stronger teams also in this league. And Tim's team, I don't know. They could have a big week and upset Nico, but I'm still taking Nico in this one. Next matchup, we have Christian against Steve. Christian, tough week. A lot of players on bye. AJ Green, Arian Foster, his best 2 players. In order for Christian to have a good week, Gore and Ridley must carry the way, but Gore is banged up at the moment. Steve's 3 beast receivers right now have to do something for him. Marshall, Fitz, and Curley. Curley's coming off a big game last week where he had 7 receptions and 120 yards. Sanchez seems to look his way now that Santonio's out. Even though all of his players are on a bye, I have to give the edge in this one to Christian. I believe Ridley is going to have a bounce back week, and Gore has been solid all season. Next matchup, we have Kyle against Meyer. Kyle's running attack features Jamal Charles, with Ray Rice on a bye this week. Charles has had 1 big game this season, otherwise he's been shaky. He's due for a big game. Very explosive runner. Hopefully it's not this week against Meyer. Dez Bryant, big game player, always comes to play against the Giants, whether it's kick returning, anything. He always shows up against the Giants. Who's that saying? Oh, sorry about that. What can you say? Heath Miller's been a very consistent target in Pittsburgh, and he's been Kyle's best tight end of the season. I look for Big Ben to keep throwing his way, and that he should have a good week. On Meyer's side of the ball, Meyer has the resurgence of CJ2K. Last week was for 195 yards and 2 TDs. What a week. I hope CJ's back to normal, because he will run Meyer to the championship. Next player, we have Victor Cruz. Who's coming off a big catch last week that propelled the Giants to victory over the Redskins. Look for him to have a huge game. Represent Patterson all day, baby. Next receiver, Meyer has Vincent Jackson, who has been a big player over there in Tampa. Josh Freeman is having a good season. Looking to V-Jax deep. He had a 95-yard catch last game and was caught in the end of it, but look for V-Jax to keep his game up. I have to give the edge in this game to Meyer. His team is just on a roll right now. Matchup of the week. Cardi's first round pick, Aaron Rodgers.
Get to a better State Farm.
Aaron Rodgers
Great, thanks. Mike!
has been great so far. Last week he had 3 TDs and 342 yards. Last week before that he had 6 TDs. Looks like he's got a found rhythm with Randall Cobb, who had 2 TDs last week. Wow, what can you say? I can't believe that they found Greg Jennings' replacement possibly, with Jennings going in for surgery this week. Cobb has been very hot. On the other hand, Darren McFadden, I don't know what to say about him. He has to have a big game. Raiders have to give him the ball. He's a big playmaker. That's all they really have, besides Carson Palmer throwing it to Denarius Moore. McFadden's due to have a big game. It's just hard to tell what week it is. Cardi's tight end, the number 1 tight end in the league, Tony Gonzalez. What can you say? The old man is still doing great with Matty Ice throwing him the ball. It's going to be a big matchup this week if Tony Gonzalez has a big game. Air attack is featured by Drew Brees, who threw for 377 yards and 4 TDs. Big performer, number 1 quarterback ranked right now. He should have a big week. Sean Green seems to be feeling it after a strong week against the Indianapolis Colts, and then following it up with a big game against the Patriots last week. Adrian Peterson seems to be back to full health after running for 152 yards last week and 1 TD. If AP can become that resurgent as he was in years past, Vin has a pretty good shot in this league. Both of these teams have scored highest points in the last 2 weeks. I have to give the edge in this one to Vin. His team is on a roll right now, and I look for him to beat Cardi this week. Now, for the moment you have all been waiting for. Introducing the Shiva Boys. They finally came in. World League Stop and Shop Trophy. Who's gonna win it, boys? The Shiva's up for grabs. Come get it. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Halloween. Adios, bitches.